It would be great for me if everyone said that they met their neighbours or made a new friend, or went somewhere that they hadn't been before, experienced a new art or cultural experience, something like that. I mean, I would just people trying new things, going to new places within Wandsworth, of course. That to me would be a lasting legacy in every individual person's life.
Hello, welcome to Talking Place, the podcast where we bring placemakers and storytellers together to talk about place. I'm your host, Tanisha Raffiuddin. I am the founder of Cllr, a creative agency in London, passionate about creating purposeful brands and telling powerful stories. In this episode, it is my absolute pleasure to talk place with Cllr Kemi Akinola. Kemi Akinola is the Deputy Leader of Wandsworth Council and Cabinet Member for Voluntary Sector, Business and Culture. Kemi is also the CEO of the charities Be Enriched and Brixton People's Kitchen, a trustee of the Independent Food Aid Network and One Drum Foundation, and a governor of South Thames College. Prior to this, Kemi trained as an architect and later as a youth worker and worked for a variety of community and youth-focused charities. We cover a lot of ground in this episode around Kemi's priorities for Wandsworth's places and communities, community ownership of the built environment, Wandsworth's upcoming year as the London Borough of Culture 2025, and her massive love for her neighbourhood, Tooting. So please do stick around till the end. All right, let's talk place. Kemi, welcome to the Talking Place podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Tanisha.
And thank you for hosting us here at Wandsworth Town Hall. This place reeks of history in the centre and the heart of all the action of this year's London Borough of Culture, which we're going to dive into.
Yes, absolutely. Town Hall is from 1964.
Wow.
When the boroughs of Battersea and Wandsworth became one. So here we are.
Amazing. Kemi, you began your journey training as an architect, as all the best people do, and have since transitioned into social work, public service, as the CEO of community and youth-focused charities, director of the Putney Bid, and the deputy leader of Wandsworth Council, and the first female to take on this role. Yeah. So you're going to go down in history. Do you have a Wikipedia page?
No.
Oh, gotta get on it.
I'm on Wikipedia, but there's no page.
Oh, I see. Okay. Can you talk us through your inspiring journey?
Inspiring journey, gosh. Well, yeah, I always wanted to be an architect, to be honest, just because I lived in social housing and I thought it was really badly designed. And so my aim was to train as an architect and design livable housing, social housing for people. I lived in Roehampton, one of the faux Le Corbusier tower blocks. I didn't know that at the time. It was very different to the actual houses that I saw in France when I went to visit some of his buildings. But then when I was graduating, I actually had a car accident, which meant I was out of training for 2 years. And then when I recovered a little bit, recovered better, I was volunteering with young people. We also had the crash and we were in a recession.
I remember that.
Right. So a lot of my friends were trying to get work. They couldn't get work. I was working youth work and I was offered a couple of jobs. So then, sometimes life just takes you on the pathway and you just got to say, okay, let's give this a go.
Absolutely.
So I went off and did that. And then just while I was kind of training as a youth worker, because I went back to uni to get another degree, because I like bits of paper that say I can do stuff. While I was doing that, a friend of mine said, should we just hold a community meal for like all the people that we just see on the streets. Like, okay, that sounds fun. And then that became a weekly thing. And then I thought we need to make this a bit more professional. So I set up a charity and it became a weekly meal. We took young people to out abroad on like, so they could learn about the world beyond London. A lot of them had never left London actually at the time. We went to Sicily, we went to Georgia in Eastern Europe.
Oh, wow.
I sent some young people to Switzerland. Somebody else went and did a year in Andalusia.
Andalusia,
that's it. And I sent a blind young lady to Belgium for a year as well, to do a year there. So that happened. And alongside that, I was running this community meal, and then somehow it became my job.
Wow.
Just because I don't like not being listened to when I see injustice, which was a lot of people going hungry all the time, and telling the policymakers, you need to do something about this because this is your job, and they weren't listening. Actually had a shouting match with someone from the GLA at one time. They asked me to come and give some evidence, and what's his name, Sean Bailey, started pointing at me. This is your job, the charity sector, to feed people. And I was like, this is your job. You're the people that make decisions. It's your money. We don't have any money. So that was a fun time. You can see that on my website.
Okay.
And then I just thought, I'm going to have to become a policymaker. No one's listening. Become the policymaker. Stop complaining, and do it yourself. So here I am, DIY.
I mean, that resonates because there's so many of us who sit and, as you said, complain about local government, local politics, but me included will not actually do anything about it. So hats off to people like you who take on the mantle and represent us in these spaces.
There's room for more.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, never say never.
Exactly.
Never say never.
Yeah.
Never say never. And seeing what you've achieved, you're definitely a role model.
It doesn't pay well, I'm just going to say that. Don't do it for money.
Don't do it for money. Well, talking about money, so if we're not doing it for money, then what is the incentive for the everyday person to join local government?
Well, I think joining local government is a whole different thing. Because like local government officers, they are paid well. They do get a pension. There is a career progression. You're in a job that is regulated by the government, whereas politicians, it's not regulated. You don't get there because you're good at your job or you have lots of bits of paper. You get there because people vote for you. It's like the biggest popularity contest in some ways that you can imagine. Yeah. Which party is the most popular? Right. Because I'd love to say that everyone that voted for me, 3,025, which is a lot actually, a lot of people, and I don't know that many people. Yeah. I'd like to say that they voted for me, but they voted for the party that I'm a member of, as opposed to me. Also, my surname begins with A, so I'm at the top of the list, right? Yeah. So people vote for you, vote for the party. Some people will know you and will vote for you, like a personal vote, but it's not really that many people. And so why do people get into it? Because they want to make a change. They see something that needs to happen and they feel like they're able to do it. Some people are talked into it because they are change makers or they're community leaders, and you think that they've got something to say and they need a higher platform to do it. But what I would say is actually it's quite restrictive, because if you are a community leader, you're then confined by your party, by what you can say, what you can campaign on, and how it can be delivered. And being someone that has their charity in the borough that they are a representative of, I'm now not allowed to apply for any grants from the council because I'm the person who actually hands them out. Yeah.
Well, I guess, if you want to make change, and being at the policy table is certainly one way to do it. And I'm going back to your architecture training. Do you think that the skills that you gathered during that time are helping you in this current role at all?
Well, I really love my architecture degree.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I studied at Kent Institute of Art and Design, which no longer exists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so the first year it was like multidisciplinary art. So you did interior, you did fine art, you did landscape architecture, you did all of it. So I learned all these graphic design skills, like woodworking skills, really weird, woodworking skills, painting, just everything. I used those skills all the time. Like Canva is my friend, I love it.
Oh, we all love Canva.
Yeah, we do. I've got a good eye for design, organisation, thinking about the flow of things when I'm moving around spaces. Will this work? Who will it work for? Definitely that Bible, which I'm sure it's been updated now, the one that I can't remember the name of it. It was a red book and it's got all the dimensions of everything in it ever. That's been like super useful for just like, this is how big a table needs to be. This is how much space you need to move around. Yeah. So I have a good, I think about spatial design and people movement when I'm organising spaces, when I'm going anywhere. Yeah. Not that everybody listens to me, sometimes do, but I'm always like, at the end, I told you so.
Yeah.
I knew I was right. So I really enjoyed that as well. But also because we're building a lot in the borough as well, looking at spaces when people are putting in their applications and just asking the question, but is that enough space? Right. But if you have 2 children, where does the pram go? How does someone get up the stairs? Thinking about accessibility for disabled people, and I'm in charge of equalities here as well, so that's very important. What if you're blind? What if you're deaf? How do people move around this space? How will people move around the events? That sort of thing. Just asking the question. Yeah. Sometimes people have thought of it. Sometimes they haven't.
Yeah. Excellent. So obviously as Deputy Leader of Wandsworth Council, you are brand ambassador of Place, and this podcast is about brand place. Yeah. So on a personal level, what does place mean to you? And what does good look like?
I would say that place to me means somewhere that I feel is home. London, I feel, is home. Yeah. To me, no matter where I am in the world, I always want to come back to London. South London, particularly. North London is a bit weird. But the minute I get off the plane, wherever I've been, I feel like, I'm back. And a sense of relief. I'm here. And why is that? Because it's where my family is, my friends are, my home is here. I'm lucky to have a home. So where my home is, I know where things are. I know how to travel and orientate myself. If I need to get something, I know where to go. It's like places what you make it. I guess you could say places what you make it, but also where you feel most comfortable. And for me in Wandsworth, I think about places as neighbourhoods and town centres, because I also manage the business portfolio for the borough. So what are our town centres like? And do people feel at home there? And are they neighbourhoods? Right. Or are they just shops?
So if they're just transactional.
Yeah, that's not a neighbourhood. You have to have library, pub, but maybe not so much a pub for the younger generation who've stopped drinking. Yeah. So maybe some
finding other ways to pass their time.
No. So maybe some other sort of entertainment space. Yeah. Some sort of leisure and exercise, leisure, place of greenery, and a place for children as well, park, playground, that sort of thing, and some housing, low rise, not just all high rise, and those kind of things. Oh, and a corner shop. I never realised how important corner shops are in making place. You need corner shop.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously grew up in Asia and then moved to the UK, and going to some suburbs, and I think, where are the shops? Where do people buy things? You can't walk anywhere. You have to get into your car to go to the closest supermarket. And I just wondered, where does this thinking come from?
And if you can't walk places, you're unlikely to meet people. Yeah. If you don't meet people, who are your neighbours? Yeah. What is a neighbourhood without neighbours? That's so cheesy.
Oh, I'm making a note of that.
Oh,
What is a neighborhood
gosh.
without neighbors? But having said that, living in London, do you know your neighbors?
Yes.
I mean,
know my
you
neighbours.
come on, yeah.
Of
You
course I know
are
my neighbours.
you are who you are.
Yeah.
You have a public facing role.
Yeah.
But I don't know all of my neighbors.
No, before I have had a public facing role, when I moved into my flat, I knocked on my neighbours' doors and said, "Hi,
Yeah.
here's a bottle of wine." I thought that's what you did.
Right. And how was that received?
Very well.
Oh, okay.
Which was lucky because I had a house party just afterwards.
Yeah.
They didn't complain.
Yeah.
But, gave them a bottle of wine. Nice to meet you. I've moved in. So we know who each other's are. Every neighbour I've had, new neighbour I've had, has come round and knocked on my door. "Hi, I'm the neighbour." So maybe it's something about the street that I live in.
Yes, that's an exception to the rule. I will say that.
Yeah. You share a fence with them. You have to be friends. But it's good to know who lives there.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's true.
But we have a street party on my street every year.
Yeah.
And I'm really advocating for more street parties, especially when it's been really hot and really cold. Like, we have some very old people on our street. If the water goes out, then everyone checks to make sure they've got water. When it's been really hot, make sure they've got water. When it's been really cold, make sure that they've been able to put the heating on. If there's been a power outage, it's quite nice actually. We do check on each other. Power goes out, we're on our street WhatsApp. Has everyone's power gone out? Yes. I'm like, well, I'm going to call and find out what's going on. Nearly always someone says, "Someone should tell the councillor." I'm like, yes, I've got the message. Oh,
luckily she's on our WhatsApp group.
No.
Amazing. No, it does sound, I think, I'm sure there are streets like yours around the country where that neighbourhood feeling is fostered.
I think it's more and more since COVID. Remember that time?
No more.
People have got to know each other a lot better. Your neighbours, you weren't allowed to go anywhere. I mean, I was working the whole time, so I was out every day, but you weren't allowed to go anywhere. So everyone was standing on their doorsteps and clapping, saying hello to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it can happen. So you've kind of alluded to it, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What is your favourite place in the world?
Yeah. What is my favourite place in the world? Two things, obviously amazing.
All right, so we've narrowed it down. I thought you were going to say London, but you've honed it down. Okay.
Two is just the best. Like, there were all these stories about 15-minute cities and how awful it was going to be. Two things is like a 15-minute city already. Hospital, a doctor's, market, shops, your pharmacy, the train if you need to leave, but why do you need to leave? Because everything's there. Schools, university, why do you need to leave Tooting? It's amazing.
So do you never go on holiday then?
Well, of course I go on holiday. But there's no reason to leave Tooting. Like, I get to the outskirts and I'm almost in Mitcham. Why am I leaving? Turn around. That's great. Got the massive common up the hill, all the greenery you need. I love it. Yeah, Tooting is great.
Yeah, Tooting is great. So if you want a tour of Tooting, contact Kemi. She will show you around.
We actually have our own tour guide.
Oh,
His name is Jeff.
Yeah.
He does like Tooting town tours.
Oh wow!
All the time, historical tours. Amazing. So we have our own tour guide.
Amazing. Oh, I'm looking forward to our quiz later. All right. Okay. Down to business now. So what does placemaking or place shaping, like some people like to call it, mean to Wandsworth Council as a London borough?
I think in terms of this, we're kind of just we just started our journey in terms of placemaking. It does feel like a lot of the borough has been developed, but it was developed quite a long time ago. Nine Elms is on the news, but it's a news part of London actually, but it's the area that we're developing now. Don't know if I'm going to get cancelled for this, but we are a borough of NIMBYs. I'm one of them. I don't like change.
All right, okay.
I understand why things need to change, and I understand why we need to build high rise, and we need to build more housing. But I don't have to like it, and I don't.
It's true. You don't have to like it.
Yeah, I don't like it. I've moved somewhere because I like what it looks like now. not what it's going to look like in the future. So we don't really do a lot. But in fact, and two things of all the parts of Wandsworth has the least building happening in it. Not because of me, just because there's not much space to build.
Right.
So it has the least building happening, and a lot of interior renovations and retrofits. And buildings have to come down for new buildings to go up. But other parts of the borough, Nine Elms, which was just industrial land, actually is now actually starting to be built up. So in terms of placemaking, it really operates as distinct town centres. But there's about 6 different town centres across the borough. And they are all very different. I couldn't pick up an idea from Putney and put it in Wandsworth town because it wouldn't work. Like they just have very different energies, vibes, feelings. Different types of people live in all of these areas. Like Roehampton, even though it's in Putney, Roehampton is very different, very, very different to Putney. Also, it's miles away. But it's in Putney. But it's very, very different type of people. No one really goes out in the evening in Roehampton. Putney, they're staying out until like 4 a.m. So we're really starting to think about placemaking and what makes Wandsworth at the moment.
That's a great segue to my next question. So what is the story of Wandsworth that you would like to share with not just London, the rest of the world?
I would like to say that Wandsworth is a very progressive borough. We have only just...
But with NIMBYs. We are progressive, but we're also NIMBYs.
We are very progressive. We are progressive. We're progressive within reason.
Right.
That's what I would say.
That's fair.
Yeah. Our borough is like full of very young people because they've got really good transport links across most of it. So quite transient sort of residents. But also we have people that have lived here for years and Wandsworth is ingrained in their blood, I would almost say. Yeah. I think that we're moving very fast in terms of how we transition to like more climate friendly development. We really want to like develop the way we work with active travel. So we have the bikes. Yeah. This is a good example actually.
Tell me.
We have the Lime bikes and the forest bikes, and they're fine. But what we don't want is them on our pavements, right? Yeah. So we instead of bringing the scooters and the bikes and everything all at once, we're like testing it out, and when it starts to work for us properly, then we'll move forward with everything else. I think a lot of people are just like, yes, we want active travel, we'll bring everything in all at once, but we want it. But we want the bikes parked here, bikes parked there. We want to make sure that our people with sight impairments are able to get by as well, so people with prams, and if you can't adhere to the rules, then we're going to go back and we're going to have to renegotiate this relationship. They're doing quite well actually. I'm impressed. I don't think I've ever had like such quick response from the Lime bikes people before. Wow. There's a bike in the way and then they're like, right, we're on it.
No, so, that's great to hear. I feel like, I don't know, do you feel like there seems to be a campaign against electric bikes, especially with the increase in fires and the safety concerns around electric bikes?
I don't know. I mean, on the fires about bike charging, they're in the batteries, but they're in the homes. So it's an electric bike at home. I've got an electric bike. It's a cargo bike.
Okay.
It's that's a fun bike. It goes very fast.
Yeah. Well, it is electric.
Yeah. And I don't have to do very much. I don't think there is a campaign. Okay. I mean, you have to kind of marry, and I guess this comes back to like master planning as well. Yeah. Like we want more bikes on the road, but people need to be able to cycle on the roads safely. But our roads are not made for bicycles and cars.
Yes.
So when we redesign our streets, how do we make it safe for humans, bikes, cars? Yeah. At the same time, buses as well. So that's the questions that we talk through with the planners all the time. All the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And especially when we don't want lots of cars on the road. We want more people taking public transport. Where do we put the greenery? How does that affect the air quality? So on and so forth.
Indeed. And so, as the deputy leader of the council, what are your key priorities for Wandsworth?
How political is this? we got an election next year.
This is an apolitical podcast.
Apolitical answer.
Yeah.
My priority at all times is the aspirations and the needs of the people of Wandsworth at all times. I'm also one of the people of Wandsworth, so I know exactly what we need to do to make Wandsworth the place that people want to live in, want to have their children in, can grow up in, grow old in. And so that's my aspiration. Also, we have an election next year and I want to win it.
Yeah, well, all the power to you, Kemi.
Thank you.
So you touched upon Nine Elms. It's certainly one of the more iconic regeneration schemes in recent years, and the very iconic Battersea Power Station is part of it. What impact has this scheme had on the borough as a whole?
So I think it's quite exciting to have something that old that I've only ever gone past on the train and kind of peered in, actually come back to life and be animated. So that's quite exciting. I don't know if you've been there, but like walking through it is incredible. Like the size of it, and you think of how it was used and to generate power for like the whole of, no, not the whole, but a lot of London at the time. Like that's quite awe-inspiring, I think.
Absolutely.
To see all of that. But I think in terms of what we had hoped for us is that it would bring more footfall into some of the town centres around, but actually it hasn't, because people tend to go to Battersea Power Station and then they won't go to like Wandsworth Town and other places. Well, that's at the beginning anyway. We get a lot of stats about that. So because it's Zone 1 as well, it's like our only bit of central London. Now we're Central London Borough.
Oh wow!
So I mean, I guess in that sort of way it helps. It's brought a lot of money into that part of Wandsworth. But I'm not sure that the rest of the borough is really benefiting from that at the moment. It's not finished yet, so we don't really know what the end product's going to look like. So, but at the moment, it's a work in progress.
And why do you think that is?
It's a work in progress.
No, why do you feel like the borough as a whole has not been impacted?
Like a lot of Wandsworth, I can compare it to Roehampton.
Okay, sure.
For example, it's so far away, it's so far removed from the rest of Wandsworth that, and because it hasn't been finished, I don't really feel that the rest of the borough is benefiting from it. Also, we know that because it is so shiny and new, local people from just nearby won't cross the road. A lot of people haven't been into the power station. They don't feel like it's for them because it looks so new and expensive, and it is very expensive. Inside of it's very expensive. The shops are very high end. So they haven't been in. I know the power station is doing some work, tours for schools and things, but I thought that was quite shocking that like people hadn't actually gone in. Although I could say the same about Brixton Pop when that opened. Yeah, local people on with their shops just under the arches said that's not for us. We're not going to go in, and they didn't go in and use it. So maybe that's just something about new shiny things and people who've lived there for generations that don't feel like they're part of it, part of the change.
That's interesting. So do you have a view on how these new shiny places can become more accessible or become more welcoming to the local community who've been there before these places were even there?
Well, events that bring people in, events run by local people, engaging with like local leaders in the process, inviting local people, young people to be part of it. I know that they did offer a lot of jobs to young people to build it, young people, teenagers, so to get, in construction to build it, inviting them back, making sure that there's a space there for them to utilise. All those kinds of things, I think they really help. I don't really know how or what Brixton did, but it was expensive. Like a burger was £8 and you could get like a whole meal and a drink or whatever for £5 from Tesco's or something else around the corner. So making sure there's an accessible offer for them as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, you advocate for community ownership of spaces in the built environment.
Yes.
So, what would that look like? Let's say in the context of the 9 Elms scheme.
Community ownership of the 9 Elms scheme. Okay, this is like a pipe dream.
But this is what it's all about, right? We're having a conversation. Who knows who's listening out there?
Unlikely. What I'm about to say anyway. Community ownership would be, I don't know, a block of flats built. 10% of them are kept by the developer. 90% are handed over to a community cooperative for them to use as well. And maybe they're not all flats. Maybe the bottom floor is like studios or a shop area or something like that. So the community cooperative then rent out those spaces and use that money to buy other spaces, which are for other local people to rent. And the shop area on the bottom is a test bed for various new businesses or workspace, but it's run by the cooperative. And the developer is really happy about this, even though they've only kept 10% and they haven't made any profit.
Okay.
But in terms of how I have been advocating for community ownership, is really looking at what the council owns, and if we can share power with local people so that they can have more involvement in decision making. But it really stems from my own experience of like having a terrible landlord. And realizing that if you don't own the space that you're in, you can get evicted on a whim.
No, that's true. Not everybody has housing security. That takes me back to your opening statement where you said you live in social housing and you wanted to become an architect to design better housing, and that has your starting point has been social work and community work, and you built 2 charities or more. What do you see as the biggest social challenges in Wandsworth now, and how are they being addressed?
Housing. This is like the 4th most expensive place to rent. Dynamic
in London or in the UK?
In the UK. Dynamic renting is the wildest thing I've ever come across in my experience. Like, more people that want to rent somewhere, the higher the rent is. Just mind blowing. Cannot believe that. That is a problem. Landlords who own multiple properties and behave in this way. Rogue landlords who do not do their repairs. People are living in, damp, squalor, all sorts of like vermin, and then they're too scared to speak up because they don't want to get evicted because they don't know if they're going to be able to find somewhere else to live. That's a big problem. In general, the cost of living, but housing, big issue. What we're doing here in Wandsworth is my colleague, Councillor Dickerden, set up a programme. He's building 1,000 homes and then renting them at social rent. So they're council homes at a council rent. It's 1,000 does seem like a small amount, but it's better than 0. And people are moving into them and they're like suitable. They're like passive houses and they'll never be sold, we think.
Oh, that's amazing.
So they'll never end up in the hands of of private landlords. The other thing, which he also did, which I think is really wonderful, and it's starting in Tooting, is set up a landlord licensing scheme.
Oh, okay.
So landlords register as essentially they're registering to be known as good landlords, which means they do their repairs. Their houses aren't squalor. People can feel comfort when they rent from them that they're going to live somewhere that's decent. Toilets inside. That sort of thing. So I'm really happy about that.
Good landlord scheme. Are there others? I'm trying to think.
It's voluntary landlord licensing.
Right, yeah.
But I just That's my title.
Yeah, good landlords. Yeah. No, that's cool.
There are some that do. There are other places in London that do it, and I think the government is rolling it out across the UK. But I'm really proud that we're doing it here already. Yeah, in Wandsworth.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, do you think? I know this is a very leading question, but do you think we can solve the housing crisis in our lifetime?
Can we solve the housing crisis?
And the other day, someone told me on some council housing waiting list, the waiting period is 100 years. That's not even realistic.
Yeah. Although we are all living to 120.
Well, it depends on when you put your name on the list.
No. If you can get your name on the list.
If you can get your name on the list.
Yeah. That's not great, is it? No. Can we solve the housing crisis? Better pay. People are working from home. If you don't need to go into the office, then you don't have to live in London. You don't have to live near your office space, or better transport even. When I was in Japan, they have those bullet trains. You could live like in the countryside and you could be in the city wherever you need to be very quickly.
True.
Could we solve, but we don't want to build on all the land either, because it's nice to have some countryside. So could we solve the housing crisis? Maybe. Sitting on the fence.
Sitting on the fence, yeah. Okay, no, I don't think you are the minority in that view, but I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that we can. So moving on from housing to culture.
Okay.
Which is why we're here. So on your website, you mentioned that your favorite word is currently culture. So what does culture mean to you?
Culture to me is everything that makes you who you are. It's the bits of your life that you've drawn together to create your values, your morals, your sense of self. For me, it's obviously my family. Food plays a big part in my life. Music, the music that I listen to, what puts me at ease. That's what culture is to me. Things I can share with people as well. Books that I read, that give me a sense of well-being and a good sense of self.
Oh, I love that. To me, I've always thought culture is life.
Is life?
Yeah. It's our identity. It's what makes us who we are. My company is called Concept Culture. It's very much a part of what makes me me, and also what I like to explore when it comes to placemaking and storytelling in the built environment. I think culture is at the epicenter of all of that. So, exciting times for Wandsworth. It's this year's London Borough of Culture, and as I understand, you were a driving force behind the bid. Why was it important for you to win this bid for Wandsworth?
I wanted it. I think once we won the council in 2022, and art came under my portfolio, and I was able to actually look at their budget, their annual budget, I just, from that point onwards, have been on everybody's case, like, can we please give this department more money? They need more money, they do so much work. So it's like it was an opportunity, like, instead of having to evidence all the time why the art department needs more money, like, we get loads of money, we do some amazing things, and then everyone says, that was a great year, we want more of it, and then we have to give that department more money and like have a nice big budget, healthy budget to do the stuff that they do so well, but like literally no money. And it comes at a time when, for us anyway, when a lot of cultural anchors and institutions are shutting their doors. They're very scared that they're going to have to close. So it's quite lucky for us that we're Borough of Culture, because it does give us, as they say, an injection of money and hopefully lots of footfall, and that will help our businesses as well as our cultural organisations.
Amazing. So what do you hope is the lasting impact that this program will have on the borough and its communities?
So in the bid, when we were thinking about what is the outcome that we want people to feel better connected. Street parties are happening this year.
Amazing.
To feel better connected, to feel like have a sense of well-being and reduce health inequalities overall, like mental health and all those things, which are wrapped up in health inequalities. So at the end of the year, it would be great for me if everyone said that they met their neighbours or made a new friend, or went somewhere that they hadn't been before, experienced a new art or cultural experience, something like that. I mean, I would just people trying new things, going to new places within Wandsworth, of course. That to me would be a lasting legacy in every individual person's life.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. And are you capturing those stories in any way?
We haven't started yet.
Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, 26th of April.
Yes. But the aim is, definitely to capture those stories, the feedback, photographs. That's all going to be stored in our Wandsworth archives and some other places as well across London. So, the year after next, when we look back on what we achieved, I might start crying. Oh, it's going to be exciting.
So, what can we expect from the programme?
Saturday we have Strictly Wandsworth. Oh. So we've got some Strictly presenters. We've all been learning a dance. We're going to do a big dance at the same time. Got Kwan's going to be there doing some DJing, silent disco. And then there's going to be, I think there's about 20 different dance organisations from across Wandsworth sharing their skills with people. So that's going to be fun. That's on Saturday. We have a Liberty Festival, which is celebrating artists who are deaf, neurodiverse, so they can share and showcase their artistry. We have 125 years of the Grand in Clapham.
Yeah.
That's their birthday, so they're putting on a bonanza as well. A Rogue Wall will also be happening there. And that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most.
Oh, that was going to be my next question.
I know. Well, the Vogue Ball is the thing that I'm looking forward to the most with the House of Juicy Couture and Spectre. They're all ticketed. Some are paid, some are reduced priced, but they're all ticketed because we have to reach too many people.
Yeah,
like the tickets for Strictly Wandsworth.
Yeah, I couldn't get any.
17 minutes.
Yeah, they sold out. Yeah,
17
I was too
minutes.
late. Yeah.
So hopefully every event is going to be like that. Yeah. We also have the wonderful Sonia Boyce. He's doing an art exhibition in February next year. Right. So I'm very excited about that too.
Yeah, amazing. I'm looking forward to it too.
Those are just like the highlights.
Yeah,
like there's things happening all the time.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to go tomorrow, the day after, to House of Horrors featuring the Battersea Poltergeist. And that's at Battersea Art Centre, part of their homegrown festival.
Yeah, amazing. So, I mean, you talked about what your ambitions and hopes are for the programme and how you want people to feel. But moving beyond Wandsworth and the London Borough of Culture programme. In your view, what is the lasting legacy that culturing programme of this scale can have on places in general?
I think that, we've not actually gone through it yet, so not from experience, but what I'm hoping is that people start to value and see the value of culture, investing in culture and art, heritage, and the wide range of experiences that there are to draw from within the places that they live in. I think we might have less vandalism, for example, if people knew about the history of their streets or the buildings that maybe people use the library more, to be fair, because those are places of history as well. We've actually got quite a lot of heritage objects displayed across the borough to try and get people to know about Wandsworth itself. Hope people go out more, use their their institutions more, think about art and culture differently, not just being in a museum in central London, where even though there are no signs that say don't talk loudly, everyone just walks around whispering. It's strange, isn't it?
No comment.
It's very strange. But maybe start to think of art and culture as modern and contemporary, and not just old pictures in the National Portrait Gallery, which I also love, and there's a time and place for them as well.
Yeah, for sure, and more accessible. I mean, art can take different forms, as you say, and I know you're saying that you haven't gone through it, and you still have a year to go through the program, but do you think that this program will improve the lives of everyday Wandsworth residents beyond 2025?
100%.
I love that. Yeah.
I don't know how it couldn't. We did a Diwali festival last year. We couldn't do it we have pedestrianised street, but then Thames Water dug up the road. So exactly, to fix the pipe. So we couldn't do it then. The business team said, why don't we do a dance trail through the high street, and just like, these lovely ladies doing their Diwali dance and going to another spot. The crowds of people it brought together, and everyone was like, this was nice. What is it? We're like, it's Diwali. They learned something new. Yeah. This was very beautiful. Really like that. Yeah. It was just great. And then they did this Bhangra dance sort of mishmash outside Tooting Broadway station, which was great. The bus even stopped. I'm sure people on the bus weren't happy, but the driver wanted to have a little look to see what's going on there. It was really, really wonderful. And people still talk about it. So I don't know how it wouldn't change the lives of people. People will remember something that they went to and the joy that they felt. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is all about joy, isn't it? And the memories that we share together. And absolutely. I think these programs of this scale bring you all together, and you share that moment together, and it becomes part of your collective memories. Yeah. So more investment in culture. Please. Yes. The powers that be. All right. Now, obviously, the Wandsworth Borough of Culture went through a branding process. It has a new logo. It has a new website. But I've also noticed that the council has had a rebrand. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Funny story. Yes, we love funny stories. The Borough of Culture rebrand was being shared with some of the councillors and people, and everyone said, oh, is that the new council logo? And then, no, it's the logo for the Borough of Culture, to which their response was, that's a shame. And it's about time we had a new logo for the borough anyway. So then it was very swiftly adopted. Just like that, as the council logo. Oh wow! So things can happen quickly. when people want them to. So the Borough of Culture logo is essentially the new Wandsworth Council logo. Slightly different. It's not as dynamic because it's council logo. You have to be kind of serious. So it's council logo. But yes, essentially. Yeah. And what has been the reception to the rebrand? I want to say everybody noticed. I don't know if I can. The logo is on so many things. Yeah. It's going to take quite some time for everything to actually change. Yeah. And some things will still have the old logo on it. Yeah. As it happens. Yeah. But some people noticed. Mm-hmm. A lot of people didn't. Mm. So is branding important, or not just the corporate branding of the logo, but the place branding of Wandsworth? Is that important to the council? It's important to us as a new administration because it's a new regime. In terms of for residents, I mean, I think they like it. I think the feedback came back, we like the new branding. But on the whole, you probably don't notice branding on things that often. So for us, it's probably more important for us than it is for residents. They're still going to get the same letters that they always got. So
we're coming to the end of our conversation, and it's a time when I'd like to do some future gazing. So looking ahead, what is your vision for Wandsworth over the next decade or so?
Ooh.
And while you're thinking,
Yeah.
And what role will placemaking and place shaping play in this future vision of Wandsworth?
I think that master planning the whole of Wandsworth will be interesting. But I think what's more interesting is how placemaking will be affected by devolution.
Interesting, yeah.
Because we don't know what that's going to look like, or if Wandsworth will exist and in the same form that it is now. So it does feel a bit uncertain and a little bit up in the air.
Right.
But I think we'll still have the same 6-7 town centres with their distinct personalities. I would like to see people stay in Wandsworth, live and stay. I just, my neighbours, back to my neighbours, I love my neighbours.
Yeah.
But they have had children, their children have grown up, their children have had children, they live next door, their kids come back, I know them by name. That's really nice. It's great to know your neighbours, but also have security of tenure, so I know that I'm not moving. If I don't want to move, I have to move. So I get to make roots, and I think it's important that people are able to make roots if they want to.
So Kemi, if you could achieve one big thing for Wandsworth in the coming years, what would it be? What would you like your legacy to be?
So a lot of the things that I wanted to achieve, I have now. We actually having achieved it. Set up a full intersect service for Wandsworth. Promised I would do that. Almost done it. Borough sanctuary. We're borough sanctuary. We've got refugee service. Set up refugee service. Done it. Ticking all these boxes. Increased diversity in the council. Ticking these boxes. When I finish or decide to step down as a councillor, I would like to make sure that there are other women of colour who are stepping into these shoes, stepping into positions of policy making and power, so that, like you said, yeah, I'm the first, but I definitely can't be the last. So I'll do all the mentoring that I possibly can and egg people on, stand in politics. Doesn't pay very well, as I said. Doesn't pay very well, but it's worth it because I just cannot be the last person to hold this position in Wandsworth.
Yes, and I don't think you will be. I mean, you've paved the way. You're a great role model. People can see what you do, what you've achieved, and I'm sure there will be many after you.
I hope so.
As well. So how do you hope that placemaking and community ownership of places will evolve in the future? So
I hope that the communities, understand what big commitment that is. And actually, some of the community in Tooting, they saw that the Gala Bingo was going up for sale, 6.6 million.
Wow.
They immediately contacted me and said, we're Borough of Culture, buy it. We only got 5.6 to spend, so I'm not sure how we can buy something with 6.6 million. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to spend the entire budget on this building.
Yeah.
But do you understand what community ownership means? We want to buy the building. So I held a online meeting, and I just said, if you want to come and learn about community ownership, come. I invited architect, designer, somebody that's worked in community ownership, and two organisations, which is people from two organisations that have bought theatres and turned them into community cinemas or whatever. And then, and somebody that knows about community ownership, community right to buy, and all those other schemes. And then I just basically took, I think it was about 80 people on a journey of, when you see the building you want, how to make it an asset of community value, raising the money, creating a committee, designing it with the retrofit, getting your contractors, making sure that it's all running on time, setting up your other committee to run it, fundraising for it, and then running this building yourself, especially because a lot of the buildings need a lot of money invested into them in order to bring them up to scratch. So at the end of this meeting, they said, oh,
A light bulb moment.
Oh, so it's not just a matter of like, here, we bought you the building. Now there's so much work to do it. So I want more people to understand what that commitment is. If you're the community and you're going to own it, you're going to own it yourself. It's not the council owning it, it's you owning it. And there's a lot of benefits actually for communities owning buildings, because councils are very restricted in what we can do, what we can spend money on, how we can spend money, and if something competing comes, like anything really that really affects a lot of the residents, then we have to direct our money elsewhere. Whereas if you're the community, this is what you've raised your money on, this is what you're going to deliver. So there's a lot of benefits to that. They decided 6.6 million was too much.
Okay.
And they're setting their sights on smaller buildings instead. So I'm really trying to support them to register. We actually did a campaign asking people to register buildings as assets of community value. So if they do go up for sale, then they will be notified. So that's the first step in it. But I think it's like baby steps, because people need to understand it's not just here's a building.
Off you go.
Yeah. That's not how it
That's not how it works.
Think about the bills. You've got people to pay. Yeah. It's very expensive. If you're going to do it, start small.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great picture. So hopefully we'll see more of that. And, if there are more people in leadership like yourselves who are supporting these communities, we'll see placemaking and place shaping changing over the coming years because of this. Yeah.
And, working with sort of think tank called Platform Places.
I've heard of that, yeah.
You've heard of them?
Yes,
great.
Yes.
So, again, because I was being evicted by my landlord in my community building, not in my own house, and not understanding the difference is between leases and the other one, which is like a license. License to occupy. Very, very different things. So like working with developers at the start of their journey rather than at the end, making sure you're building the space that you then occupy is fit for purpose, and that you have enough money to actually do whatever you've got to do, and you have a proper lease and you're licensed, so they can't just evict you. So that is part. I think that is probably where the most change is going to take place. Assets of community value, very worthwhile, especially if they're already set up to do what you want them to do. But I think purpose-built buildings, working with developers, is probably another good avenue as well. And fingers crossed, the government will have a nice fund for people to apply to actually cover some of these costs.
Amazing. No, fingers crossed. That is a very progressive picture of community ownership.
That's Wandsworth.
And Wandsworth. Yeah, and Wandsworth. Yes, I really hope that transpires, and other boroughs and other regions around the country can learn from the examples here in Wandsworth.
I think so. I mean, the other way that people really can have control over their areas, their towns, the places. You asked me about place earlier. So in Tooting, best place on earth, they set up a locality, like neighbourhood forum. And that is a way that people can really have a voice. You don't really have to spend any money. You don't have to raise 6.6 billion on anything, but you can actually design neighbourhoods and places that you want to be and live in, and actually have some real influence in placemaking. Our neighbourhood forum, I think the person that was leading on it left, and there's always that one person that actually makes sure everything moves forward. And once they went, I became a councillor, and other people moved out of the borough, and then it kind of dissipated. But if you are able to keep on going, the kind of power that has is immense.
Yeah, no, I believe it. So what's next for you, Kemi?
I want to say bed.
I'm so tired. I don't think you're going to sleep for the whole year.
No, I'm not going to sleep for the whole year. It's very, very busy.
Yeah.
What's next for me is I'm really looking forward to this next year. Lots of really interesting things, lots of policies that are coming to fruition. Borough of Culture, loads of events, activities. It's really great. I'm getting married, so that's wonderful as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very exciting year. I mean, I really enjoy local government, actually, because I think that this is where you get to make real changes for people.
Mm.
But that's not to say that one day I will be ordained as a lord or lady. That would be great as well. Lady Akinola.
Yeah, that's a nice ring to
That's
it. Really nice ring to it. Let's manifest it, Lady Akinola. So, no premiership then?
Premiership? No.
That was very definitive.
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, that's too much scrutiny. Thank you very much.
We'll settle with Lady.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kemi, for sharing your insights. So that brings us now to the fun segment of our podcast. It's called Know Your Neighborhood. And there's no surprise as to what your neighborhood of choice is. It's Tooting Massive, as you call it. So it's a fun little quiz. I will share 3 facts about Tooting, and all you have to do is tell me whether they're true or false.
Okay, go.
Let's go. All right. So fact number 1. The name Tooting is derived from an Anglo-Saxon chieftain named Tota.
False. I thought it was Tottinges or something.
Interesting. Okay. So like I said, notes, what's on my notes are final. So the answer is true. Tooting likely comes from Tota's people, or Totingas, the followers of Tota.
Right.
It's a nod to the area's deep Anglo-Saxon roots, giving it a name that's over 1,000 years old.
I don't know. One of my ward councillors is a Tooting tour guide. He might have something to say. But I'll say okay.
Yes.
See, I got it wrong. I knew I wasn't going to get it wrong. All right, there we go.
Like I said, this is internet, not... Well, I would be... Yeah, you can tell me what your tour guide has to say about that.
No, well, I don't know. He might have something to say about it.
Okay. Anyway. All right. So fact number 2. The Romans built a major road through Tooting, which is now Tooting High Street, and traces of which are still visible today.
Fact.
So true.
True.
Yes, that is true. Yes.
Yeah.
So the ancient Roman road Stane Street was a major road connecting Londinium, London, to Noviomagus Reginorum, Chichester. And this road runs beneath today's Tooting High Street and established Tooting as a key waypoint on a vital trade and military route nearly 2,000 years ago.
Wow.
And the presence of Stane Street during Roman times shaped the area's layout, encouraged settlement, and later laid the groundwork for Tooting's growth as a transport and commercial hub. All the things that you mentioned. So we can thank the Romans.
There's a London road.
Yes. So it goes on to say that the route's enduring legacy can still be traced in Tooting's modern street plan, making the Roman road one of the most significant historical influences on the neighborhood's development.
Yes. And also there are so many potholes you can see the road, Roman road.
Amazing. All right, so that's 1 out of 3. All right. Fact number 3. Tooting Bec Lido is the oldest open-air freshwater swimming pool in the UK.
I think it's the biggest. I'm not sure if it's the oldest, but it's definitely the biggest.
So your answer is false.
Maybe. I think it's
true or false?
I don't know. I think it's the biggest.
So false.
False. Yeah.
Okay, yes. We got there in the end. Yes, you're right. It's not the oldest, but it is the largest.
Yes.
And the oldest one is Bart's Cleveland Pools, dating back to 1815. And it is 91.5 meters long.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, the Tooting Bec Lido. Yeah, I did.
How much water does it take?
Oh, it's not on my notes.
10 tons.
Oh, you know this. Okay, I should have put that on my question. Anyway, that was fun. So 2 out of 3, not bad. Not bad.
It's my favourite.
Well, you weren't far with the Totingas, but you said false. So anyway, so that just sadly means our time has come to an end, and it has been so inspiring to talk to you about place. And all that's left for me to do is to thank you for hosting us here in Wandsworth Town Hall, and to wish you and the council and everyone involved in London Borough of Culture the very best for your year as Borough of Culture. And I hope it will have the lasting legacy that we talked about, and then your vision comes to fruition.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely to chat to you as well.
Yeah, and we'll touch base in a year's time, and we'll talk about all your successes and lessons learned. After you have that nap, you have that long nap.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, Kemi.
My pleasure.
And we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to join the conversation on social media with the hashtag #TalkingPlace. I would also love for you to leave our podcast a review and subscribe to all our podcasts and YouTube channels so you don't miss an episode. There is so much more to explore when it comes to creating good places, and I'm excited to do a deep dive into other topics with you in our next episode. I'm Tanisha Raffiuddin, and it's been my pleasure to be your podcast host. Thank you for listening. See you again next time, where we'll continue Talking Place.